to the next dimension.
Have you ever thought of being in total power, total control? You think you have everything in the palm of your hand, and then it gets taken away. Now, that was a very strange starting for this video, but it kind of sums up the game very well. The Stanley Parable is a very interesting indie game. It's a modification for Half-Life 2. I'll give you all the links that you need. It's a free game. Everything's free. You don't need to, buy anything. And this game makes you think. This game makes you think, should I go with what I instinctively think, or go with my interests? Go with what I think that could be out there? This game is very weird. This game is very different. There's many different things that can happen in this game. Multiple paths. You can play this 50 times and not get the same route. Not get the same choices. This is very weird. This is just my playthrough of this game. But for you guys, it can be completely different. This is just my video to sell this game. I'm not getting paid to do anything like this. I just love this game to death. It is literally one of the best games that I've ever played. And today, I'm hoping I can convince you guys. Let's get straight into it. Literally an amazing game. Plus an epic narrator in the background. Listen to this, guys.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor next to his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
That's good. That's good. Happy's good.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on a monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and walked out into the hallway.
Now, this is where I take control. Pretty much, I'm going to follow the main storyline. But there's many different things, and I'll highlight these to you guys, that you can do, and it can completely change the storyline.
Stanley decided to go to the staff lounge to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself, and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
And as I was saying, thank you, Mr. Commentator, for, cutting me off. But pretty much, as I was saying, these choices are very
When Stanley
weird.
came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
This is the first choice. You get two doors. Now, it may seem just, whatever, left and right. But he said to go to the left door. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to demonstrate what happens when you go and do
This was not
different.
the correct way to the employee lounge, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. So he turned left at the first open door and walked back in the right direction.
Now look at that elevator. I could go straight into the elevator and go up or down. But I want to go through this lift door. I want to do what the game's telling me. You guys can go and experiment. Download this game. It is amazing what this game does to your mind. It makes you think. It's not like Call of Duty and all these other type of games.
He was back on track.
Actually makes you think. Actually makes you think. Why am I doing these things? What is these decisions about? What is the reasons behind all these stuff I'm doing? It is a very weird game, and it's something that's a great gaming experience.
As Stanley entered the lounge, he was horrified to find not a single person here. He decided he would walk up to see his boss, hoping that he would find an answer there.
Now here's the next decision. See those stairs? It's up or down.
Coming to a
Look what I
staircase,
can do.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Now, I'm going to follow this commentator. I'm going to follow this narrators to show you guys the main storyline. But when you can play, you can go down the stairs and you can see what's down there. You can go in the elevator and see what's down there. But I'm going to go upstairs and show you the main storyline. What the narrator wants to show you guys. Very weird how this game plays out.
Entering his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. It was at this point that he began to feel dizzy and a little sick, and even thought he might pass out when suddenly he noticed a keypad next to the filing cabinet in the corner of his boss's office. Stanley had never seen this panel before and had no idea what combination of numbers would produce any result.
Now look at this
in
next
fact,
bit.
Only Stanley's boss knew this, since the panel withheld access to the boss's greatest, darkest secret. And so he had assigned the keypad a combination that only he could possibly know. The number of his freshman dorm number in college. 1957. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Now look at that. He has given me the thing. It's like someone in my mind that the guy has just pretty much told me what to do. 957.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. Stanley ventured forth into the newly opened passageway.
Amazing is what this game can be described as, because it makes you think, why did he give me this code? Is this part of a bigger plan?
As he drew deeper into the bowels of the building, Stanley had no idea where he was or what this place held. And just as he began to think he might not discover a thing, he emerged into a long room to find rows and rows of monitors, screens with a number above it. Stanley noticed, however, that these were not random numbers, but the number of employees who worked in the building, his co-workers. Even his own number, 427, had a place on the wall. But why a setup so elaborate, he asked. Was this simple surveillance or something even more? And as if in answer to his question, the wall slid open before him, revealing the ultimate truth of the situation.
And there we go. So
an enormous control panel, Stanley discovered, but not one that controlled simple machinery. Buttons were labeled with emotions. Happy, sad. Levers and knobs controlled actions. Walking, eating, doing work, or watching TV. Every input on this device monitored not the functions of a machine, but of a human being.
Wow.
And the reality began to sink in. Stanley, like so many other people, reduced to images on a monitor, had been under someone's control, always at the mercy of this machine. Could this have been the only reason employee number 427 was content with his boring job? That a machine had altered his emotions to accept it blindly? He began to feel an unbridled rage, and at the peak of his anger, something happened. A spark. Stanley looked up and saw the generator overhead, still providing some small amount of power to the machine, keeping it alive. And knowing that this generator was all that kept the controls running, Stanley moved to the ladder in the back of the room and began to climb towards the rafters.
And guys, he tells you what to do, and you can go against it. You can go against it, not in this situation, but you could, like the door situation, you could go to left or right. You could go to the right if you wanted, but in this situation, you've gone down this more, narrow path, and he shows you a different choice later on. So I'm going to go up these stairs, and pretty much I'll talk about this game. It's very, very, very different. It's not something that you go, okay, I just made a decision, whatever. It's not like Mass Effect you do.
The closer he felt to freedom, the further from enslavement.
That like Mass Effect 3, when you go in all the Mass Effect games, you make this choice that it directly affects the game. But in this one, your decisions mean something, but you don't know what. You don't know what's going to happen to these decisions. Are they going to mean something in the end? Is it going to be, what I'm doing? Is that going to be wrong? Is that going to be right? This is, it's very, very weird. And I've got engage generator and disable generator. I'm going to go disable. I'm going to do what he told me to do. But you can go enable if you want. You can go enable. It's all up to you. Any more? There we go. Alright, where are we?
Blackness. Power gone. All alone.
That's about right.
Then
Giggity. And then blackness again. Oh, the suspense. It's killing me. What's next? Anything? Whoa. Oh. Back. Oh, whoa. I didn't even know I was even playing the game. That was weird.
As he stepped through the door into the fresh outside air, a feeling of liberation rushed through Stanley's body. He had seen power. He had seen enslavement, and he had destroyed it. The underling was in control now. He had found his leading role. Stanley never discovered why everyone had gone missing, nor how and when he had come under the machine's control. But it didn't upset him terribly, because he knew that this was how things were meant to happen. All he felt was a delight unlike any he had ever known before. Never again would he follow someone else's orders without question. Never again would anyone tell Stanley where to go, what to do, or how to feel. No more bosses. No more instructions on a screen. Stanley decides for himself now. And he stepped out into the world, and he felt the cool breeze upon his skin, and Stanley was happy.
And that's it, guys. That is the end of the game. And you see the decisions I made. This game is different. This game doesn't make you think normally. It makes you think that you're in control, that these decisions matter. But in the end, it kind of just thinks, here's your power, here you've got it, do what you want. But in the end, it just goes and says, no, this is the way the game is supposed to be played. It is a very mind-challenging game. You have to, it's hard to understand. Go look some stuff up online, but go and actually play the game before you do it. It's literally amazing. There's no way that you can go and do what the game is not telling you to do. You can go and say, okay, I'm going to go and do it this way instead of this way. But in the end, you're just going to end up in another type of narrative. This game is amazing. This game is breaking. And the fact is that not many people have experienced this is really, really, really sad. This game is an unbelievable work of art. Work of art is a good way to describe it, because it challenges your brain in a way that not many other games do. I think the only other game that could possibly rival this, I can't really think of anything at the moment. That's the fact is the Stanley Parable is a very unique game. This is one way to end the game. There is multiple ways to end the game, and it's up to you guys to go and explore them. Go and have a look, download the game, links are in the description below, play this game and play it the way you want to. Do you want to go through that first door and go, you know, into the left door and instead of going through the right like I did? Or you want to go through the right and go straight towards the elevator and try to break the narrative and then in the end, you know, find out something different? There's so many different ways. It gives you control and just strips you away from it. This is one of the best single players games I've ever played in my life. I definitely suggest you guys to play it, and it's only a relatively small download. Make sure you have a try of it. Literally amazing. But other than that, it's Undercover Dudes, all the way from Down Under, out.